So I've just been listening to James Arthur, his song that is out, which is amazing and just really touches so many chords. I mean, God, you want that love, you want that connection, you want that growing together, you want that having each other's backs, all of the things that he touches on so brilliantly in terms of the lyrics, and then the musicality to it is just incredible. And it had me looking, because obviously, you know, there's been a lot that's alluding. In fact, on the X Factor, he touched on World Mental Health Day, and I was just looking at the different pieces. Some of the I was watching his performance on the X Factor, and then his interview on Good Morning Britain, and they were asking him what was going to make the difference, or what was the difference this time. And he said that it reached a point of he was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and calling ambulances thinking he was having a heart attack, or saying there was stuff going on with his heart and his head and what have you. And he just at some point said, this is it, I'm not having this anymore. I've got to step up. I've got to, I can make it, you know, he was made a choice basically that he needed to put himself out there, and the thing that was most important to him, that came from him, that's his soul, his core, is making music. So he decided that he was just going to make good, honest music. When they said to him, what did you know, what's the difference? He said, I decided I was going to make honest music and hopefully it would connect people. And isn't that what it is all about? We need to know who we are and be who we are. We need to be true to ourselves, be honest with ourselves, and put honest stuff out there. What is it? What is the truth? Let's not display the surface hype and have everyone around think that they need to be like that too, because it's just not the truth of what is going on. You know, in the news recently also has been Angelina and Brad, and they would have it. I mean, I actually spent the time and went back and looked at a couple of recent interviews from them, because I was really thinking, surely what they've said up until recently is that they are so great. The last movie, it couldn't be representative of them. If it was representative of their relationship, then they wouldn't have been able to make the film. And then there's this whole meltdown of seemingly stuff that must have been underlying, I'm guessing was underlying for a while. So the facade that is put on that has people believe that actually those who are successful are living this fantasy life is just that, a fantasy. And the truth is, politics nowadays, it is so challenging, because we just want politicians to be honest with us, to be real, and then to do what they say they're going to do, instead of just tell us surface stuff that is going to get the votes and then do what they want to. So isn't there a theme to it? Isn't there a theme? We actually want honesty. We crave honesty. We crave honesty, people being real from other people. And we really need to check in with ourselves and find out what is the honest truth with ourselves. Because we're going back to James Arthur, what he was saying in the interview was that he is looking back on the last few years and he's embarrassed of himself. He's embarrassed of how he showed up and why, but also this was the connecting piece for me. I remember somewhere I've seen him apologise on the X Factor, or for his performance on the X Factor, because it wasn't he missed some of the words. Now, watching it again, now knowing the song, I can see that he did that. But isn't that great? Isn't that great? That means he's singing live. Also, you couldn't tell if you didn't know, which shows that he was very connected to the song. So even though, for a moment his mind may have gone elsewhere, he's in the song, he's connected to it, he's very musical, so he could bring it back. And so those of us who didn't know the song wouldn't even notice. Why would he feel the need to apologise? And why not instead just laugh about it? And that actually resonated with me, because there were so many times I kicked myself for not being perfect, or not being what I thought I should be, and I'd apologise to people for something small, like it didn't really make any difference to them, but I was sorry that I hadn't been perfect for them, I hadn't got it exactly right. And who cares? And wouldn't it have been so much more lighter and brighter if I just went and laughed about it and said, oh wow, I'm not perfect, but never mind. And actually not even just that, but just laughed about it, because it really does not matter. And actually that whole energy around the fact that it doesn't matter is so much more enjoyable for those people around who haven't even noticed in the first place. The energy of an apology, where it really isn't necessary or warranted, is actually quite heavy energy. And then it got to me thinking, where does that come from? Where does that whole piece come from? And or where does it link in with James's last 2 years? And actually, I believe our challenges with around not in terms of what he's describing in terms of anxiety attacks and mental health challenges that he's able to decide at some point on one day through enough pain to say, that's it, I'm going to break free of this. Those sorts of mental health challenges, which are very real at the time, I'm not dismissing them at all, but that sort of mental health piece comes from somebody who has high expectations of themselves, who thinks that they should be this certain way, which in their eyes other people would look on as perfect. And therefore, when they don't see themselves as that, which is very hard for anybody to be, the same as it's very hard to be that facade of Angelina and Brad's relationship, which is why they weren't even it. It's very hard to be that model on the cover of a magazine in terms of looks and supposedly how wonderful they are, because it's not real, that's not even how they look. So for James, what's happened is he has a blueprint of how he thinks he should be for the world, or what the expectation is of to fit in, to be loved, to be worthy, what that singer should look like, what that singer should be doing. And where that hasn't showed up for him, that's had him beat himself up. And where he's beat himself up, then it's got to the point whereby he's gone enough, and that explosion results in looking for escape, looking for escape in, which we can get from alcohol, because at some point we switch off into a hazy blur, and we go through some different stages before that. It can be through sex, because in sex, at points of, of course, we go into a different mode. So it's looking for escapism, because in those moments, because the reality feels too much, and in those moments we can be something different or feel differently, and let go of all of that going on in our head. So there is so much that we do to ourselves, and actually we make life so much more complicated than it really is, in terms of looking at having expectations, laying out expectations of how we think we should be for other people to think well of us, to think that we are great, to think that we're successful, to think that we're worthy, and ultimately for other people to love us. And the challenge is, the further and further away, the more and more we are looking for other people to love us and be the way we think they want us to be, the further away oftentimes we get from knowing who we are and being who we are, and where we lose sight of who we are. That is where the disconnection to ourselves come, and therefore we're not loving ourselves. And if we do not love ourselves first, we will not find joy, peace, happiness, success in anything that we do. Where we are able to know ourselves and be ourselves, everything is joyful. Nothing is a challenge. Everything is happening for the right reasons. Everything is happening for us instead of to us. In the other situation, everything is happening to us rather than for us, and that is the challenge.